Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome on this new episode of Youth Matters with me, your host Sakina Habib. Inshallah, I'm hoping that the month of Rajab is going smooth for all of you, and all of you are enjoying the worships and their ibadats in this holy month, and looking forward to Sha'ban and Ramadan as well. And I thought that we can delve into the topic of mental health as well, because that is very important and it's connected to our day-to-day life. So I thought that let's look at some strategies that we can use as a tool to cope with our mental health, so that when it comes to especially people who are, for example, going through certain issues in their lives, how can they tackle those challenges, and how can basically what happens is that we don't see the internal picture sometimes, and what we see on the outside is what seems to reflect of that person. So we think, okay, probably someone is really happy and enjoying themselves, so we think, oh, this person is really like living their lives and they have no issues. But actually, let's delve into what's actually going on internally in their lives. So this is a something that we can talk about today. And I'm pleased to be joined by Sister Salwa Habib, who will be sharing her perspective and her view on this topic as well today. So I would like to welcome Salwa Habib on board.
Assalamu alaikum, Sister Sakina.
Assalamu alaikum. How are you, Salwa? How are you keeping?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for having me here. It's always a pleasure to be here with you. And today's topic is an important one and a very interesting one, and something that we definitely need to ponder on, and something that we definitely need to talk about.
Thank you so much, Salva, for taking out your precious time and for being a part of this conversation as well. I'm very thankful to you. And Salva, when I know there's a lot when people talk about mental strength. There are a lot of topics out there that people are more well versed and have done a lot of research into these areas. But I want to touch upon the area where, uh, sometimes our dialogues or our conversations are not really spoken out. That's why we have the topic as unspoken, because these are certain aspects that are not really put out forth and are sort of, you can say, kept secretive. And they sort of sometimes take a toll, within an individual. So then, the person begins to have anxiety or sort of depression, and they fall into these dilemmas of how to converse with people, how to express their emotions. So I want to go a little into this with you today. So if you will see, let's start with I will be putting out on display a few images so that people can understand and connect and relate to what we are going to speak about. So Sarah, you can take the board from here. Tell us a little about mental health from your perspective, and then also what we will be seeing on the screen right now. What really happens, what people see, and what is actually happening on the inside. Please, share with us.
Yes. So, when I first of all, the topic, as you said, is unspoken social morals. So when I look at this topic, the first thing that comes to my mind is the responsibility of other people towards people who are struggling with their mental health. Because it's unspoken social morals, right? So, like, how do you behave around a person who you know or might not even know is struggling through something? So how to behave around people in general, especially people who are struggling. And a lot of times we don't really know, as you said, we don't really know what people are struggling with. It's like an iceberg and we see only the tip, but there's an entire chunk of it under the ocean that no one can see. So there's different levels of this, and there's different levels of coping with with mental strength. And I feel like it's really harsh to put the responsibility of coping with mental health only on the people who are struggling. I feel like even the people around those people definitely have a responsibility to be there for those people. And because I feel like in those moments, it's when a person really needs like support the most, you know? And well, unfortunately, sometimes we just I feel like as people we become really shallow sometimes, and we just look at the surface, and we don't really focus on what's really going on really going on inside someone's mind. And it's like we generally just ask people how they are, like, how are you? And person just responds they're fine, and we assume that they're really fine. But I don't think we really take out the time to ask other people how they really are, rather than, it's like, how are you is just, it's a big question, but it's become like an everyday conversation which has absolutely no meaning. It's like, how are you? I'm fine. Like, that's the response that people even expect. I feel like no one even wants to hear, like, no one's even ready to listen. Like, the amount of listeners in this world has reduced. No one's even ready to listen if someone says, no, I'm not, and like this. I'm like, people are just, if I ask someone how are you, I'm just gonna assume I want them to say that they're fine, and we can move on. So yeah, I think we're gonna have
Yeah,
the slides.
that's an excellent
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
Yeah, that's an excellent point, Salva. This is so important because yes, we do take this for granted in our daily conversations, and I am so glad that you brought this up uh, because we need to take these things very seriously in our day-to-day conversations. So yeah, let's move on with our slides. We've got a lot to talk about. So the first
yeah.
slide, for example. Okay, so let's take a look at this slide, for example. It's showing what is appearing on the outside of this person, right? So, for example,
Yes,
we find a lot of people who are perfectionists in their life, meaning that they want everything to be exactly detailed and things to flow according to their times and according to their timings. And if there's a little bit of an upside down, then they feel like, okay, the whole mountain has sort of broken down upon them, and they cannot take that pressure. And
yeah.
on the outside it looks like, okay, they're so like amazing at
They've
what
got
they're
everything
doing. For
handled.
example, they're just
Yeah,
like tip top. Yeah, like everything's handled by them, but on the inside they're actually so overwhelmed, and they want help.
yeah,
What's your view on
yeah.
this?
So it's like, basically, this is basically called high functioning depression, right? So when you seem like on the outside, when you see these people, you think that they're like perfectly fine, and they're just going about their daily life as if nothing's going on. Maybe you might even see that they're on top of their schedule. They have like to-do lists, like everything in detail, and you see them and you think, oh my God, like she or he, they've got everything together. Like, they know exactly what they're doing with
Yeah,
their life. But deep down inside,
true.
we don't understand that actually they're actually overwhelmed, and this is coping, because they think that they're not productive enough. They think that they're not good enough. So they're doing all of these things, and looking like superheroes to they're actually overwhelmed, and they actually really need, and to doing all of those activities is for them to actually tell themselves that they're good enough. It's because they feel they need someone to understand, and because maybe they feel like nobody will, so they feel like they have those expectations of them, because they know that people have certain expectations from them in family life and social life, and they feel like they need to live up. So they're doing all of these things, saying yes to anyone asks, any activity, piling on activities, but deep down they're just overwhelmed. Which is why when we see that someone around us is high in terms of activities, and know is this part, they're healthy, they're doing everything. They work, I don't know, they go to gym, they work, they gym, they take care of their family, they, I don't know, they have 10 million activities is going on altogether, but we need to sit and reflect and try to help someone, not, and if we can, like every day, like, why don't I do this for you today? Like, why don't I help you out with this today? Like, why don't I, like, especially in the family, I think, in the family, like, if you see that your mother has a lot of work, or if a husband and wife sees that either spouse has a lot of work, so, take on some responsibility as well. And they won't, and you won't even
Yes.
know that you're actually really helping them out, which is really huge, and they will be really grateful to you.
Yes, that's very true. Thank you for giving, life-related examples, because it's true. We find a lot of individuals in our families and in our lives, having difficulty to manage with this sort of behavior. And I think at some point one really, take things slow. We need to slow down a bit sometimes. When you make things, when you pile up things for yourself, meaning you want to do everything at the same time and you want to be a perfectionist. You want to perfect yourself in every area, and it becomes very challenging. Okay, so let's take a look at another slide and another picture, which is about. Okay, I like this one because we find people sometimes who are so like happy go lucky type of people, meaning like they're out there, they're cheerful, they're smiling to you, they're cracking jokes, but deep down, sometimes what is actually happening is that they're having difficulty accepting and expressing their own personal emotions. So sometimes, there's probably no one who's probably giving them attention or hearing them out or being, a good listener, as you said, Salva, that, sometimes we don't have that time to listen to someone's stories because probably they might go very elaborate on it, and everybody's rushing. We've got our own schedule, so we just listen a little, like, okay, how are you? I'm fine, and that's it. Nobody wants to really dig deep and get to know. So this is one example as well. So if you see someone who's like probably cracking full-time jokes and is funny and is fine, meaning seems he or she seems perfectly fine out there, might as well want to check up on them sometimes and ask, if they are going through a smooth phase in their lives, right? Wait, I think I can't hear you. You're muted. Sorry, can you repeat that?
Um, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. So what I've noticed usually is that it's the people who are the happiest and the most cheerful, like they're the ones who are usually like struggling the most. Because such people, they feel like they don't want to because I feel like such people, they know that other people are also going through a lot of things, and they feel like they don't want to express their emotions to people around them because maybe out of love, because they don't want those people to worry for them. And so they just put on a facade of like happiness and joy and cheerfulness. But it's usually those people who have like a lot of like difficult times and who go through a lot mentally. And I mean, there is strength in that. There is a lot of strength in being being cheerful, regardless of the state of your heart. But the problem here is that why should we even put anyone in the position to have to be strong like that? Like, why do we as a society impose on people that they need to be strong like that? That you need to put on a facade, you need to be cheerful, you need to be happy. Otherwise, this society is not going to accept you because nobody wants to be around a person who is, I don't know, sad or depressed. So there's a huge responsibility that we're imposing on these kind of people who are always like laughing and everything. A big responsibility that we're imposing on their shoulders, that no, you need to stay like this. And a lot of times they think like this, that no, I need to stay like this if I want to be a part of this society. Otherwise, I will be an outcast because everyone knows me as this cheerful person and everyone expects me to be this way. Again, it's about everyone else's expectations. And I think this is something that we as a society need to work on, to accept people even when they're not at their best. because we have a way of like wanting people to always, so no one can always be in a good mood, you know. We need to be more accepting to people in our societies who are not in a good mood, even if it is, even if it's constant, to people who are depressed, to people who cannot be happy. I don't think we should be imposing on anyone to forcefully be happy. You know, that's not fair. I don't think that's fair on them.
This is another point. It's like for someone who really cares for others, has a very generous heart, is always kind, and then, but sometimes what is actually happening is that probably they're the ones who feel undeserved of the same love. So, Balwa, can you explain this? What do you understand from this?
So I think that this is, I feel like this is my favorite slide. This is, I think this is really important because, it's usually the people who are, they have, as I said earlier, people who are the kindest, the people who are the most selfless, the people who really just love making other people happy and like really caring one, like maybe like you could say like that therapist friend, you know, who thinks deep down that they don't deserve that same love. Because again, it all comes back to their mental space and their thoughts, their feelings about themselves, and because they feel that they don't deserve to be loved and they know exactly what they're going through, so they don't want to inflict that on anyone else. So that's why they're always showering everyone around them with so much love, because they don't want anyone to feel what they're feeling, actually. And and I think it's in today's generation, I feel it's pretty normal actually for a lot of young people especially feel like they don't deserve the love that they get, like it happens, they feel like they don't deserve even their closest relations at times, like I like they don't deserve the love of their parents or their friends, or that thing of I don't deserve this, but when you look at them and you see just how they are with people, you think to yourself, no, but no one deserves more than you. You deserve this the most. But this, again, the thing is, we need to come to the root of the problem. Why do they think like that? Why do they think that they don't deserve the love that they give out to everybody? You know, and these are things that, again, I mean, I don't think that anyone is is qualified enough to help people like that. I mean, for people like that, there's obviously, it's important when a friend listens and all of that. It's definitely important. I agree with it, but again, there's so much stigma around counseling and therapy in our societies. So I feel like for people like that, like they need that kind of professional help sometimes, and there's nothing wrong in getting that kind of help, at times, to talk to a counselor or a therapist who might help you tackle your feelings and come to the root of the problem, because the reason why people feel that they're undeserving of love is something that you and I can't really talk about because we're not qualified therapists. We don't know what the root of that problem is. There's many different reasons for different people
Mm,
why they feel that way, so
yeah.
again, it all comes back to us as a society, us as friends, as family, to be there for those people, encourage them to get the help that they need and get to the root of that problem. So they, because what I realize is that with such people, no matter how much you tell them you love them, they're just, they find it so hard to believe you, you know they find it so hard to believe you. And so what's the solution? What's the solution? Who has the solution? The solution is with a person who has knowledge in that field, right? So
Okay,
you go to
it's
the
fine.
people who have knowledge
I
in
get the
that
point.
field and you come to the root of the problem, you know yeah.
Okay, okay, Salwa. I got the point. So you've highlighted that and emphasized upon this point multiple times as you were conversing. I'm sure some people, majority of the people would agree with you, but I'm sure there are people out there who might also disagree with you because, the therapy and counseling that we have right now that's been, mashallah, introduced over the past couple of years did not exist. A long time back, for example, during our parents' time and during our grandparents' time, and of course, they also went through a lot of challenges and issues in their life, and they managed to cope with their mental health without therapy. So, some people would
Yes.
argue
But
and debate on
that
this
is
topic as
debatable.
well. And they would say that,
That is debatable though,
I know
because then again it all comes
yeah,
back to
everybody has their own
at their
opinion.
time it wasn't accepted. It wasn't accepted at their time either, right? And that's why they have all of this pent up generational trauma, which comes down to the younger generation. But now we can't keep going with the mentality of not going for counseling. I feel like now we need to open up our
Mm,
mentalities a little bit so that we don't pass on, the younger
yeah,
generation doesn't pass on that to the generation that is to come, to the future generation. So we need to, this is a thing that we need to like break. Like we need to break the trauma, right? We need to break as a
okay.
society, as
Yes,
the younger generation, we need to
yes,
break the
indeed.
generational trauma.
Yes. And we can do that
Yeah.
with by using our mental strength, by having a very strong mental strength. By
And having
not
a good
becoming
circle
very
around you
emotional as well. Yeah. Yes,
and a good
exactly. Having
support
a
circle.
positive circle, a support circle, exactly, and having family and friends who are there available for you to talk to and to understand you. And yes, you are right, because there are some people who sometimes actually demotivate you when you open up your heart and your mind out to them. They take it very negatively, and they start putting you down at a point. Obviously, because of their theories and because of what they have been educated about and what they've been taught about culture. I feel like culture comes in between there.
Culture.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
because of that, as you said, that's the area where then people go and seek for therapists outside of our family and our communities and our societies. So this is the reason sometimes.
Yeah,
Anyways,
we need to make
can
it
we take
more
a look at the
accessible
next
in the
slide?
community.
Yes. Can we take a look at the next slide, please? Okay, so this is done. Another one says that when you want to be always someone who is high achieving in the society. I think this has been coming down like for years. I've seen this in a lot of. It starts from students. It starts from home. When we've been always given this idea, and it's like conceptualized that you need to always do well in school, so you always need to be the best, and you need to be the high achieving one, the best survivor, the best competitor, survival of the best, blah blah blah. So what happens over here is that that person at some point gets this imposter syndrome and feels undeserving of it. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is a bit complicated for me to understand. Salwa, can you maybe share your viewpoint on this?
Um, this is a little bit difficult for me to understand too, but to be honest, what I think is that like people who always crave like I don't know academic validation, or people who always crave like success, like all the time. They always want to be A stars. They always want to be on the top of their game. They always want to be super successful in their career and in everything, in anything that they put their mind to. They want that they should be super successful in it. And most of the times they are, and they get that success, but yet they still feel after it kind of goes back to like in the previous slide we said they feel like they don't deserve love. Here we're saying they feel like they don't deserve that success. So these people, they feel like they don't deserve love or success, which is a problem. So they feel like they don't
Mhm.
deserve the success that
Yeah,
they're getting, and they feel
mhm.
like they're so like imposter syndrome. They feel like they're imposters, like they feel like they're
Yeah,
like unreal, like it's unreal, like
yeah,
they're
they're unreal.
pretending to be something, like they feel like they're
Pretending,
hypocrites,
exactly.
like a hypocrite feels like a
Yes.
hypocrite, like they don't
Mm.
actually believe that they have those talents to have all those things. So even when you compliment such people on their successes, deep down they're thinking to themselves that I don't really have what you think I have. You think I'm talented, you think I'm smart,
Yeah,
but I don't think I'm talented and I don't think I'm smart. And until a person doesn't
yeah,
believe that they are something themselves, no one can ever make them believe that. It's just so important for us I feel like it's more like the law of attraction, It's so important for us
Yeah.
to truly believe that we are capable, to truly believe that we are deserving of the success that we're getting, and to truly believe that we're deserving of love, to truly believe that we are capable. Because when we believe that, it manifests into our life as well. But if we constantly keep believing that, we constantly keep feeling like imposters, and we constantly keep believing that we don't deserve the success that we're getting, then we won't ever be able to truly enjoy that success, and we will be stuck in a constant loop, because no one can truly help you more than you can, and more than Allah can. You have to help yourself, because after God, the
Mm.
only person that you can truly trust the most is yourself, and you should be able to do that. And so
Yeah.
it's all about it's a mindset, and to have that mindset is not easy. It's a challenge, it's a task, but that's what we need to work towards. We need to work towards having the mindset of believing that everything that we're doing is worth it, and that all of our success, actually, it was brought to us by Allah as a form of sustenance, as a form of risk, and that we deserve it. We wouldn't have had it if we didn't deserve it, because Allah is the planner of our lives. He's the one writing our stories. if he gave me if he gave me risk, if he gave me a type of sustenance, who am I to deny it and say that I don't deserve it? You know, that's that's something that we
Mm.
need to, a mindset that we need to develop, to think that it's from God.
Mhm.
And if
Yeah.
God gave it to me, then I'm worthy of it. Then I'm not an imposter or a hypocrite, because he thought me
Yes.
worthy of giving it to me. So it is mine to have.
Yeah. That's a very good perspective that you've shared, Salwa. Thank you. And uh, it's a nice one. Like, it's from a different angle, basically. Not everybody would have thought that way. Like, I didn't think of it from that perspective. So, thanks for adding that. Okay, there's another point that I want to touch, and that is unshakable in tough times. So, like, what happens is that when people see you, that you are so strong and robust on the outside, like you're just unapologetic. You even when tough times come into your life, you deal with them like you're a hero, and like nothing has happened to you. You're like, you don't express and share what you went through. The journey was really tough on you, but that's so relatable because I do that a lot sometimes. And I'm sure you do that as well. Like, I think generally everybody does that basically. It's something very courageous and brave, and not everybody also does it. It's like, you don't show your pain on the outside. So, everything seems like, oh, this girl is like perfect, her life is perfect, everything's going so smooth in her life, but actually there's so much going on behind the scenes. Nobody has an idea about it. So this is what's actually happening. At the end, sometimes the person becomes numb and apathetic to the outcome. Meaning, sometimes, you sort of become, how should I put it in words, like unaffected
Like when you
by
get through
certain
it, yeah.
situations or
Like,
certain people.
yeah,
Yeah, when you get through
yeah.
it, exactly.
Like even when you
Can
get
you
through
can
it,
you
now
can you
you're
add your?
like, everyone around you tells you that you're like, you were so brave to do that, or you were so courageous to do that, but you're just numb. Even after you've been through that difficult time, the outcome is that you're just like cold, and you're just numb now. Like it doesn't feel like anything to
Yeah,
you, but everyone around you says that you were so brave and you were so courageous. Again, I mentioned this earlier, that because we as a society have imposed on people that they always need to be brave, they always need to be courageous. And it's good to be brave and courageous. Those are amazing qualities to have. But sometimes people, it's not that they don't want to, sometimes they can't be brave and courageous. So it's a very difficult thing that we impose on other people, to be brave and courageous 24/7. And even when we
yeah,
compliment
mm,
people and say that, oh, you were so brave to get through that, you were so courageous to get through that. But I mean, they didn't have. We need to remind. I feel like when we're talking to people, we need to say, you were, but you didn't have to be. And next time, if you don't want to be, I'm here for you. And next time, if you feel like you can't be, then I'm here for you. I feel like we need to change our
yeah,
tone a little bit, because when
yeah,
someone tells us something that they've been through, and we tell them, oh, you were so brave. So we're kind of telling them that you next time this happens, you need to be brave on your. So when someone comes to us with their problem and we see that they were brave to a situation, acknowledge that they were brave, sure, but then tell them that next time if they feel like they can't be, they don't have to be, and that you'll be there for them. Because because having a weak moment does not make a person is not like people think that it's the end of the world to have a weak moment, and that's what we need to break. Having a weak moment is not the end of the world. Yeah.
Yes, yes, very good. You really highlighted and summarized that exactly the way it should have been. And you're very right. It sometimes, the expectation bar sort of raises higher than the usual. And like people say, oh, if you could do this, then the next time you can even do something bigger, something much
Yeah,
more. And
exactly.
this person now is like, oh my God, now the next time I need to be like at a much more
Super strong.
higher level than what I did right now. So this thing was already tough on my bit, and because you are not in my shoes, so you have no idea what I went through. But but yeah, the way you put it out in words was excellent, Silva. Okay, now let's share the visual images. So I have another visual image here that says on the outside, when one seems very ambitious, but on the inside has some self doubt. Okay, so for example, this image here. Okay, when we look at it, what idea comes to your mind, Salwa? Like, what's really happening here in this picture?
So on the outside, this person is seeming like super ambitious, and they seem like they wanna, like how they're on, the person is on stairs, right? So he's like, for example, he's
Yeah.
completed his high school, now he's off to his bachelor's, and he's doing his master's, and he's doing his PhD, and he has all these ambitions and all these dreams that I want to do a doctorate, and then I want to do, like, I don't know, a double degree, and I want to do all of this. But through all of those steps, that person, only that person knows exactly what they're going through from inside, because deep down that person is actually doubting themselves at every moment of the step. At every step that that person takes, they're constantly doubting themselves. After high school, that person's wondering if they're going to be accepted, even though they know that they have the grades to be accepted. They know, but they're still doubting that, am I going to be accepted? After they get their bachelor's, now they're doubting themselves again, like, will I be, I want to do my master's, and they probably have the means to do it, and they have everything to do it, like they have the grades, they have everything, but again they're doubting themselves, am I going to be able to do it? And at every step of the way of their career path, at every step of their career path, they are doubting themselves. But all people see is, again, it goes back, this is like, again, high functioning depression. All people see is that this person is super ambitious and they have a double degree, but that no one knows exactly what they went through while they were getting that double degree or that PhD, what thoughts they went through, and how they constantly downplayed themselves and didn't believe could achieve that. And then all these points are connected, and then even when they get that PhD, then he's probably going to have he or she will probably have the imposter syndrome, right? That, oh, I don't deserve. So it all
Yeah.
these points are connected to each other in one way or the other.
Yes, and also the very good, very nicely shared, very nicely explained. And on the other slide, we see this person who is performing well under pressure. If we can take a look at this image as well. So we see on the, like, he's really working very hard and everything, but he's under pressure. And now on the inside, what's happening is that he has that fear of failure. So like he's scared that, if I don't, for example, sort this task out in a limited time, then there's a risk of me failing. So I need to, for example, get something done within this deadline. For example, maybe it's in your work or in your office or in your university when you have deadlines of assignments, and now you have that pressure. So you don't want to fail, right? So like you're doing it under pressure. So obviously on the outside it looks like, okay, this person can work really well under pressure, but what we're seeing on the inside is that this person is so scared actually. And
Yes, to fail.
yeah, what are your viewpoints on this?
Yeah, so
Mhm.
exactly what you said, that on the
Right.
outside we see that this person is on top of his deadlines, this person is, always completing his deadlines. And sometimes these people are like, you'll see that they're completing their deadline last minute, but they, even if it's 11:59, they are submitting it at 11:59, the assignment. But they're like, it's under pressure, right? So they're working under pressure. They know that they have so many deadlines that they've committed to, so many things that they've said yes to, and now they need to complete those deadlines because deep down they're scared that they're scared of failure, and they're scared that they're gonna fail in any area or somewhere. And they feel like they just need to do it. And it's a form of a burnout as
Yeah.
well, actually, because like you're so burned out after everything, but still you feel like
Yeah.
you have to do it. Even when you're burned out, you still feel like you must do it because you have all of these things on your plate, way more than you can handle, only because you're scared of feel like you need to do everything.
Yes, and I just want to share a small uh, something that I just remembered as we were conversing right now. That I think it was Bill Gates who said that if you want to like hire or employ someone at work, hire a lazy person and not an active one. Do you know why? Because if you will hire a lazy person, then they would do that work in the shortest
In the
time,
quickest way.
and they would
Yeah.
actually figure it out how to do it. So
Yeah.
because they'll be under pressure. That's one. And they will find the latest shortcut basically. So when I was going through this image, that's what came into my mind. So sometimes it works as an advantage, like it's a perk for people who are
It
lazy, like
does.
for example submitting late projects like last minute and stuff. I'm sure all most of the students, even at universities and stuff, they do that. I did that a
Yeah.
lot, and it always worked out for
Yeah.
me.
I
I'm not
know.
going to advise
Yeah, me
anybody
too.
to do this, obviously, but sometimes it's like you get last minute ideas. They're like
The
super
thrill,
genius,
the
last minute.
adrenaline.
I'm throwing
Yeah,
it
it's an adrenaline rush.
out. Adrenaline rush, exactly. Yes, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at the next slide. I'm just keeping a track of time, so that's why I'm just speeding up a bit. The next slide is about let's look at this one, for example, that on the outside you're calm and composed, and on the inside you have unrealistic expectations. So, okay, before that, okay, yeah, here it is. So, uh, on the outside, some people, they seem like they're super content and relaxed and calm and composed, and there's nothing going on. But on the inside, they have a lot of unrealistic expectations, and if those expectations don't turn out to be reality, then they become furious, and they have rage issues, they have anger issues and temperamental issues and all of that.
Yes.
That's also one aspect that we see. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't always have
You
to
want to
be
add?
like. Yeah, I would like to add to that. So it's like people on the outside who seem like calm and composed, but on the inside they have unrealistic expectations. Now, those unrealistic expectations don't always come out in the form of like a hot temper or like anger. Sometimes that unrealistic expectation comes out in the form of like shutting down and closing off, basically, because you've set all of these expectations for yourself, which are unrealistic, and now you don't know how to cope with that because you feel like you want to really achieve that, but what you don't realize is that what you're thinking is actually it's too much for anyone to handle, you know and that we sometimes people feel like they need to be perfect. People have a need to be a perfectionist, and they set all these bars for themselves which are completely unrealistic, which no person can actually, like, it's too much to impose on yourself. No one can do that, so uh, yeah, so I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people, this is also something that I feel like a lot of people struggle with, because people think that I need to do this and I need to do that and I need to be like this and I need to be like that. But first of all, it's not in your hands to be a certain way, because Allah is the one who handles, the way that things are supposed to go for you. And second, so again, it is unrealistic to place that in your hand, the measure, because that measure is not yours to think about. It's a loss to think about. Yes, our personal development is in our own hands, but we should set goals for our personal development which are which are in reach, which are in our capabilities. We shouldn't try to keep expectations on ourselves which are beyond our reach and beyond what we can possibly do, because then we're just going to be setting ourselves up
Hmm.
for heartbreak.
Yes. Thank you, Salwa. Let's take a look at this another slide. It's called On the outside, you're organized, and on the inside, you are overthinking. So, what really happens is that when we see people, these people sometimes, they're like so pre-planned and organized and all of that in their work, but we don't know that sometimes, they're overthinking. Perhaps they might not be even adequately sleeping well at night because at the back of their minds the thing is constantly replaying, like I need to do this, I need to set out this program, or I need to, wake up at this time, and I need to, do some,
Exactly.
uh,
Yes.
maybe I need to pick something from work, or I need
Yeah.
to drop
Yeah.
someone off or whatever. I need to buy
Yes.
this, that, like their minds are just functioning
Yes,
throughout.
constantly.
So, you know, it doesn't like mean that just because they're organized, they have it all uh, set out and everything is smooth for them as well. They also have their own, you can say, I wouldn't call it, I wouldn't like say that, they're under pressure or that they have tension, but, they overthink a lot. So this is
Yes.
something that I wanted to highlight. And
Yes.
yeah, and another
Yes.
one is when on the outside, you seem to be like the high achiever, but on the outside, on the inside, you are someone who is burning out. Like, you get
Yeah.
burnt out by
Yes.
by by performing too much sometimes. Would you like to add something on this?
Yes, so again, I feel like this goes back to a slide that we talked about a while back, that people who seem on the outside as if they're on top of their game, they're achieving, they're getting like multiple degrees, I don't know, their career is super successful, but inside they're just so tired with everything that's on their plate and they just want to break, you know? Deep inside,
Yeah.
all they want to do is, I don't know, like run away to a town where they can just be on their own and like have a vacation away from everything because they are actually so tired with all the work that they're doing, and burnout is actually a really really it's a really difficult thing to go through because half of the time you don't even realize what exactly is happening, and because you're so busy, people are so busy with their schedule, these people are so busy in their schedules that they barely have time for themselves and they barely have time to breathe. And to the previous point that we talked about the overthinking and being organized, so like when you're like organized, so it's connected to this point, that this high achieving point, that you have all of these goals that tomorrow, I need to, I need to do this and this and this and this, and at night you're not sleeping well, because at night, like when you're sleeping, your brain is just constantly, your thoughts just won't shut down, and you're actually thinking even in your sleep, and that is not a good night's sleep. Not even if you're sleeping for 8 hours, but there's people who sleep for 8 hours and are still tired. Why is that? Because you're not properly getting the 8 hours, because in those 8 hours your mind is in so many different places and you're tossing and turning and tomorrow and thinking about the timing, that tomorrow at 9 I have to do this, at 10 I have to do this, at 11 I have to do this, and then because that's what you're thinking about, so subconsciously even the dreams that these people get are related to work. So where are you resting then? So they're not truly resting, and then it leads to burnout. And then it leads to burnout, and then to deal with that burnout, to tackle those emotions, they don't have time. So again, it's a constant loop. It's a constant cycle. They are constantly in this state of anxiety because they don't have time to deal with their own feelings and to deal with their own burnout because their schedule is so packed. Yeah. And they're not getting proper sleep.
Okay.
So yeah.
Thank you very much, Salwa, for sharing your viewpoints on today's program, and I hope that all our viewers will benefit. And Salwa, mashallah, can you just let all the viewers know that right now you are currently pursuing your media degree, right, in York University, and it's your last year, is it?
It is yeah, almost. You can say I'm like I have like I'd like to say I have 1.5 like year left. 1.5. But yes, you can say I'm in my last
Okay.
year. Yeah.
Yes, and what are you exactly doing lately? Because I like the way you researched on this topic, and you know, like you had mashallah very good knowledge. So I just want to know what exactly are you doing lately? What project have you been working on lately?
Okay, so I'm usually just busy with university and my assignments, and I genuinely really love my degree. I really really enjoy media, and I teach Quran as well part time, so I have that going on as well. But mental health is a topic that I was always very interested in, something that I always like really deeply cared about. So these are things that I've been like articles like since like really long, about like mental health, and this is something that I take a lot of interest in. And yeah, you can say that I like reading about how to cope with mental health, and I like being there in whatever way that I can for people who I know who may be struggling. I know I'm not a licensed therapist, but I like being a listener. I like being a listener, and I just generally I feel like there's so much to learn in this topic, because mental health is to do with us as human beings. So there's so much to know, so much to learn. So I just generally just enjoy reading about it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Salwa, for sharing your amazing points with us. I really enjoyed today's program with you, and you shared some very vital points on today's program. And I wish you all the very best and success in your life, inshallah. Thank you once again. Okay, thank you, viewers, for tuning on today's program, and I hope that all of you benefited from today's session. Sister Salwa Habib really enlightened us with her perspective and her knowledge, and I hope that we can, keep track of our mental health. As I mentioned, it's very important, and we need to be very careful of our words when we talk to someone, and we should keep a checkup on everybody. Sometimes these things are not spoken about much, but it's very important to just keep a check on our family and friends. As I just want to add this one last point, that please remember, one's outer world doesn't always reflect their inner world. I really like these lines because it sort of summarizes that what we see on the outside doesn't always have to appear on the inside, right? So let's make sure that everybody out there, is basically doing fine, and are they really like living a good life and all of that. So thank you very much for tuning on today's program. This is your host Sakina Habib for this evening. Jazakumullah khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.